ओके, तो क्या हो गया, कहाँ रह गए सब? नाश्ता कर रहे हैं? ठीक है। What we can do is can start a little bit early so that जल्दी हम लोग छोड़ भी सकें। देखते हैं कितना कर पाते हैं हम लोग। So today's task is basically थोड़ा सा क्लास लेंगे regression analysis से related, and then we will move on to practical exercises on MATLAB. How the normal regression, multiple regression, curve fitting, all these tools work. So basically वो वाला part cover होगा आज। लैब क्लास है, आराम से यू कैन स्टॉप और आस्क क्वेश्चंस एनी टाइम। ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा टाइम बाउंड कम रहेंगे, बट स्टिल वी विल ट्राई टू कवर दिस पार्ट एटलीस्ट टुडे। फिर आगे इन नेक्स्ट वीक वी विल कंटिन्यू इसका न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स एंड ऑल। ठीक है, तो आज ये वाला पार्ट खत्म करने की कोशिश करते हैं, द बेसिक रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस, एंड देन लेट्स सी अहेड। देयर हैज बीन some HOD meetings have happened, so what information we have got is for normal BTechs, I think the classes will go on till 20th November. So that is 2 weeks time. In our case, I think we have quite a bit touched almost most of the things that we were aiming for. ये वाला second last है वैसे. Last module is about GIS, but Gorai sir was saying that he will also take that module in some other courses. So उस पे ज़्यादा stress नहीं करेंगे. We'll just introduce it in 1 or 2 classes. And probably the last class, that means 19th जो lab class रहेगी, that will be doing on GIS and its application. तो उसको थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिकल करके देखेंगे कि how the GIS can be done in respect to mining locations, in respect to what all analysis is possible, basics. Okay. Next week हम लोग neural networks रखेंगे, and that's it. I think 20th तक for computer applications it will be okay. For Rockslope, we are already in the end of the second last module. So the last module will start on next week, Monday. उसमें शायद से we will start with the stabilization measures, and उसमें लगेंगी 3 classes तो लगेंगी at least. And then we will discuss in the next few classes about monitoring and how the rock monitoring is done. So उसका भी I think we are sorted out. So these 2 weeks will be little bit mostly like covered up in all schedule. उसमें कुछ gap नहीं होगा. अगर इसके बाद decision change होता है, there is another meeting for Senate on 10th. तो अगर decision change होता है तो let's see कि आगे बढ़ाते हैं क्या करते हैं. Mostly they are concerned about MTechs and MSCs because उन लोगों के काफ़ी लेट शुरू हुई हैं क्लासेस. और बीटेक से आई थिंक 1 वीक लेट हुआ है तुम लोगों का, 1-2 वीक लेट हुआ है ना शायद, August 4th. सो उस हिसाब टू मैनेज फॉर द सेकेंड नेक्स्ट सेमेस्टर टू स्टार्ट बाय नेक्स्ट मंथ. देखते हैं, फाइनल डिसीजंस विल कम आफ्टर दैट सेनेट मीटिंग ओनली, बट स्टिल आई थिंक यू माइट हैव गॉट द मेल आल्सो, राइट? ऑल दिस अबाउट क्लासेस एंड टाइमिंग्स एंड ऑल.
सर
हाँ नितेश.
सर ये फाइनल प्रोजेक्ट सबमिशन कब होगा, कुछ आइडिया? मीटिंग
नहीं,
में तो
उसका
डिस्कस
मेरे को भी अभी पता नहीं है. एक्चुअली 10th को ना काफ़ी सारे डिसीजंस लेने हैं. कब होंगे तुम्हारे एग्जाम्स कब होंगे, तुम लोगों के फाइनल एग्जाम्स अभी रिमोटली शायद नहीं लेंगे, वट एवर इम्प्रेशन वी हैव टिल नाउ, कि जैसे हम लोग ऑनलाइन टेस्ट और ये सब ले रहे हैं, वैसे दे आर थिंकिंग दैट फाइनल एग्जामिनेशन एटलीस्ट तभी हों जब तुम लोग आ जाओ, इवन इफ नेक्स्ट सेमेस्टर स्टार्ट्स। तो पता नहीं, अभी उसका डिसीजन फाइनल कुछ हुए नहीं है, तो मे बी उसी समय पता लगे व्हेन दे डिसाइड क्या होना है आगे। फिलहाल के लिए देयर इज नो इंफॉर्मेशन रिगार्डिंग दैट। बड़े सारे अनसर्टेनिटीज हैं यहाँ पे।
कॉलेज खुलेगा तो प्लान है कुछ, मतलब
कॉलेज खुला ही हुआ है, बस हाँ, तुम लोग नहीं
हाँ
आए। हाँ, इसका भी अभी डिसीजन नहीं लिया
तो
गया वैसे यहाँ पे। तो वही है ना, दिक्कत यही है कि इफ दे कॉल एवरीवन, कैसे मैनेज होगा? इफ एनीथिंग स्प्रेड्स, तुम लोग तो हॉस्टल में रहते हो, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि तुम लोगों के पास एक एक कमरा हो, एक एक बाथरूम अलग होगा कि आइसोलेट कर दिया जाए तुम लोगों को। सो इंटरेक्शन तो होना ही है, एंड इंटरेक्शन होना है तो फिर इन जस्ट इन केस अगर एक भी इन्फेक्टेड हुआ तो इट विल बी वेरी टफ टू कंट्रोल। तो वो सब चीज़ें कंसिडर कर रहे हैं, देखिए क्या डिसीजन रहता है। अभी के लिए दे हैव कॉल्ड आई थिंक 70 to 80 people only, that those are all project staff and PhDs जिनका एक्सपेरिमेंट्स रह गए हैं एंड दे हैव टू सबमिट सून एंड ऑल। अभी के लिए का कुछ बताया नहीं, तो वही है। द ओनली थिंग इज यहाँ पे हाउ हाउ टू बेसिकली प्रिवेंट थिंग्स फ्रॉम गोइंग आउट ऑफ द हैंड। तो देखते हैं। अभी यहाँ पे देयर वाज सम न्यूज़ दैट सम स्कूल्स एंड these colleges have been given some SOPs, the standard operating procedures, to open. मे बी जब ये तो 15th नवंबर का शायद है डेट, 16th नवंबर का। इफ़ दैट गोज़ वेल, हो सकता है उसके बाद इसका भी डिसीजन आए कि तुम लोग कब आओगे यहाँ पे, बिकॉज तुम लोग आओगे तो फिर ही आगे चीज़ें बढ़ेंगी यहाँ पे, कितना ही ऑनलाइन क्लासेस लेंगे। ठीक है, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस अच्छे रहते हैं तुम लोगों के हिसाब से। अब नाउ यू आर इन फाइनल ईयर, कैसा लग रहा है? लाइक व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट? if online classes have some are better for you all?
नहीं नहीं सर, फाइनल ईयर बर्बाद हो रहा है।
वही तो हमें भी लग रहा है, फाइनल ईयर में तो एटलीस्ट एवरीवन शुड बी हियर, बट स्टिल देखते हैं, सेफ्टी फर्स्ट, अदर थिंग्स लेटर। चलो, विल स्टार्ट topic. We are continuing today's discussion, and uh, for just to give you just a quick revision, that we started the regression analysis. And as per our discussions, what regression basically is finding a model that suits the correlation between our data, right? It can be between one variable, one input and one output. We can have multiple inputs, one output, multiple inputs, multiple outputs as well. Can be many conditions, and there are many ways to do it, but the overall picture is that we have to find the model that represents that data. We have to find something that gives relationship between the inputs and the output, and we have to get a model that can predict future values. That's the whole point of. Now this example on left, on the right, is just simple equations for linear regression, and the above one is about one input linear regression model, right? Because only one X is there. If there are multiple inputs, there will be multiple variable regression, or MVR, right? And these are linear. So non-linear can be in terms of powers of X, or multiples of X in that sense, or there can be logarithmic functions, there can be exponential functions, there can be trigonometric relationships. Many types of regressions can be there, right? So which kind of model basically fits your data is based on various types of algorithms, we will try to see which fits which, and then decide on which one is the best one. So that's the whole point. And we were also discussing about the weights and biases. So any multiplication factor that is given on the variables or the inputs is called the weight, right? And biases are the additional components that are given. So uh, uh, any biases with deviations from the basic relationship. So when in simple terms, when y equals to mx plus c, the m or the b1 here is basically the weight, or given 2x that can come closer to the y value, and b naught is the bias, or b0 is the bias that creates the b1x value from its original value to reach the y. So weights and biases, this is important concepts, especially when after regression analysis we will learn about neural networks and fuzzy logic. So weights and biases are the main factors that are basically tweaked or trained in order to reach our final output. So that's a very complex way in which that is done. There are feedback loops and sort of. So we'll be discussing simple algorithms of that as well. But today we are focusing on what happens in regression and how do we find that. So today's example, we will take a very simple example about a simple linear regression and find out what's the basic behind it. And then we will do some examples, okay? So you were discussing yesterday some terminologies that are there. So terminologies in terms, we discussed about the outliers. Outliers, we discussed how they are basically not following the general trend of the overall data that we have, right? And deciding an outlier is also a critical task. We have to defend our decision of considering any data sets as outlier. It can be the case that there is a researcher's bias, or when we have this thinking that, okay, I have to get some result, and due to that there can be a bias that, okay, whatever doesn't suit my result is basically outlier, and that's not reason enough for our uh, uh, analysis to not include those data sets. So outliers, though, generally should be specifically mentioned, and the reason behind them should also be. There are some analytical techniques we discussed, representing the data in form of box and whisker method, and finding out whether the data is actually inside this box and whisker form or somewhere outside, is a method for finding outlier. But again, these are very rule of thumb sort of, can't be universalized. So there are some techniques, but ultimately, as we also discussed last time, we have to defend our consideration of any data sets as outlier. If there are considerations, or there are reasons that are genuinely making that data as a anomaly or an outlier, then it should be defended well. Okay. So that is one. And what problems outlier cases creates is basically creates a lot of deviations in the general trend of the data. So if we want to include these outliers in the fitting, our basically the mean will shift. Our means will be deviated from their position. So if a single linear regression might be like this in a normal without outlier condition, it may have shifted somewhere here around with the outliers, because the means have shifted at different positions, right? So that causes problems if outliers are actually present, and they can hinder in our regular results that we get, right? So that's why it is important to identify outliers, important to defend why they are outliers, and important to remove them as well. Okay. So this was then there was multicollinearity. it was something we discussed about the relationships that exist between the input variables. So if you remember, we discussed there are two types of. Yep. Yeah, Prabhu.
Sir, in the outlier, if you need to identify outliers in a non-correlated data, like in this example, the data are seems to be correlated, like coefficient of correlation tends to 1. But if the data are uncorrelated, so how can you identify outliers?
So what happens now, Prabhu? There is a method called this one box and whisker. इसमें क्या होता है? The whole data that we have, like suppose the y data that we have, what we see in that y data is how much variation is there in between the data itself. तो ये जो this box and whisker representation of the data is, it's basically telling us कि how much variation is there in the maximum part of the data. This is represented by this box, okay? Or what is the maximum data and minimum data? These are represented by the whiskers यहाँ पे, ठीक है? एल्गोरिथम्स हैं, उसके बारे में बस मैं आई विल एक्सप्लेन वेरी रफली टू यू बिकॉज काफ़ी स्टैटिस्टिकल एनालिसिस हैं इसमें जिसमें आप दिखा सकते हैं कि आउटलायर है कि नहीं, ठीक है? तो अगर तुम्हारा जैसे दिस इज़ वेल कोरिलेटेड, राइट, एज यू सेड कि द मेन डेटा इज़ वेल कोरिलेटेड एंड ज़्यादा सिर्फ आउटलायर्स तो वेरी क्लियरली दे आर विजिबल इन दैट सेंस. तो उसमें क्या होगा, योर बॉक्स दैट इज देयर इन बिटवीन, दिस इज बेसिकली formed due to by calculating quartiles, something called Q1, Q2, Q3, basically dividing our data into 4 zones based on how well it is correlated in between. Okay. So उस सेंस में क्या होता है, अगर हमारा डेटा इज वेरी वेल correlated as you said in this case, तो उसमें the box size will be smaller and these whiskers will be larger as per the maximum and minimum. Okay. इसमें जब बॉक्स साइज कम होगा तो देर इज टर्म कॉल्ड क्वार्टाइल रेंज, इंटर क्वार्टाइल रेंज और IQR. ओके, इंटर क्वार्टाइल रेंज में क्या होता है, ये वाली वैल्यू जो डिफरेंस होता है ना, इज Q3 माइनस Q1. ओके, ये वाली रेंज ली जाती है. नाउ इंटर क्वार्टाइल रेंज बेसिकली इज अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ द थिकनेस ऑफ दिस बॉक्स, राइट? जो आउटलायर कंसिडर करा जाता है दैट इज समथिंग ऑन 1.5 टाइम्स IQR. मेरे को भी एग्जैक्टली ध्यान नहीं है, बट देर इज सम रेंज इन विच इट कैन बी कंसिडर्ड एज आउटलायर और नॉट आउटलायर. तो अगर इस पॉइंट के दिस इज एट Q1, अगर इस पॉइंट के 1.5 टाइम्स के अंदर any data set is there, so then it is considered as genuine, but अगर इसके बाहर है then it is considered as an outlier. ऐसे ही यहाँ पे भी हो जाता है. In case तुम्हारा बहुत ज़्यादा, जैसे तुमने कहा there is a lot of deviations और बहुत ज़्यादा it is not at all seeing in a line, तो what will happen in that case is ये वाला box का width काफ़ी बढ़ जाएगा. Okay. और जो मैक्सिमम मिनिमम है वो भी कहीं ऐसे बैठेंगे. एंड इन दैट केस बिकॉज हमारा IQR बढ़ गया, इंटर क्वार्टाइल रेंज, तो 1.5 टाइम्स ऑफ दैट ऑल्सो विल बी वेरी अवे फ्रॉम द सपोज वट एवर वी आर मेजरिंग 1, 2, 3, 4 वैल्यूज जो भी है, ठीक है? तो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि जो हमें अभी के लिए आउटलायर लग रहा था वो दैट विल एक्चुअली फिट इनसाइड दैट प्लस माइनस 1.5 IQR रेंज. एंड उस सेंस में वी जनरली सी कि हम लोगों का आउटलायर है कि नहीं. ये स्टैटिस्टिकल टेक्निक है, ठीक है? जनरली क्या होता है, हम लोग जब इस तरीके के ट्रेंड्स देखते हैं इन आवर एक्सपेरिमेंट्स, उसमें क्या होता है कि वी एज आई सेड, वो जो बायस होता है ना, वी हैव सर्टेन आइडिया जनरली कि आप जैसे देखो कि इस तरीके से सोचो कि अगर तुमने कोई रॉक टेस्टिंग कर रहे हो तुम, और रॉक टेस्टिंग में तुम्हें पता है कि शेयर स्ट्रेंथ हमें पता है किसी रॉक की कितनी है, तो हमें पता है कि अगर हायर शेयर स्ट्रेंथ है तो करस्पॉन्डिंगली हायर कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेंथ भी शायद होगी. के ट्रेंड कुछ हम लोगों को आइडिया रहते हैं, लेकिन अगर उस सेंस में वो नहीं होता है, उस सेंस में काफ़ी ब्रेक डाउन होता है उससे, देन वी कैन एक्चुअली जज ऑन दैट सेंस कि ये जो ट्रेंड जो नहीं आ रहा है आना चाहिए, दैट मीन्स वी हैव सर्टेन प्रॉब्लम्स। फिर उस सेंस में भी हम लोग देख सकते हैं कि आउटलायर्स कहाँ कहाँ बैठ रहे हैं उस डेटा के हिसाब से। बट स्टैटिस्टिकली स्पीकिंग दिस इज़ वन वे टू डू इट, जो IQR निकाल के की जाती है, इंटर क्वार्टाइल रेंज। अब अगर तुम थोड़ा और पढ़ना तो उसमें आइडिया लगेगा कि ये क्या होते हैं, कैसे क्वार्टाइल्स निकालते हैं। बेसिकली मीडियंस निकाल निकाल के वी फाइंड द क्वार्टाइल्स वेयर आर द पोजीशन। सो सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल तुम्हारा इस तरीके का डेटा सेट है 1 2 3 5 9 15 20 ऐसा करके। तो इसका बेसिकली मीडियन तुम निकालोगे कि मीडियन कहाँ बैठ रहा है, तो बीच में कहीं बैठेगा, राइट। सो दिस द एवरेज ऑफ दिस विल बी मीडियन, सो दिस विल बी Q2। फिर इनमें से कहाँ मीडियन बैठेगा, तो इसका वैल्यू हो जाएगा Q1 और इनका वैल्यू हो जाएगा Q3। ऐसे करके देर आर टेक्निक्स टू फाइंड आउट दीज Q1 Q2 Q3 ऑल्सो। ओके, तो एक बार पढ़ना इसके बारे में। बट वन वे ऑफ फाइंडिंग दिस आउटलायर्स इज टू फाइंड IQR, एंड जब तुम्हारा डेटा डिस्टर्ब होगा तो IQR वैल्यू विल ऑल्सो बी इंक्रीज, सो आउटलायर ऑल्सो विल फॉल इनटू नॉन आउटलायर जोन सॉर्ट ऑफ। कुछ समझ में आया, थोड़ा सा आइडिया लगा?
हाँ हाँ सर, हाँ सर।
थोड़ा सा आइडिया लगा, ठीक है। इसके बारे में पढ़ो थोड़ा, इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ दिस
हाँ
मैं इसकी डिटेल्स में इसलिए नहीं जाना चाहता क्योंकि फिर बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा हम लोगों को। इट्स नॉट वेरी डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू अवर टॉपिक, बट हाँ अच्छा चीज़ है जानने के लिए कि हाउ थिंग्स कैन बी स्टैटिस्टिकली फाउंड आउट। ठीक है, तो आगे बढ़ते हैं। सो द सेकंड पॉइंट वाज मल्टीकोलिनियरिटी। Second terminology, multicollinearity, we were discussing last day also that it's something about relationship between the input variables. Now generally we say the input variables are independent of each other, and that's the ideal case in which we are analyzing. Okay, but most of the studies do consider that input variables are independent, but sometimes this may happen that the input variables are dependent on each other. Suppose for this example where weight, height and BMI are the input parameters to find some say health index or something. So in that case, if you can see, they have plotted uh, the curves, the data points between with respect to each of these input data sets, right? So for each weight, they have plotted the height value. For each weight, they have plotted the BMI value. For each height, they have plotted corresponding height and BMI values. So and these are the correlation factors, the R square values in that sense. We will be discussing what are R square, but generally it's how well the fitting is. Okay. So in terms of linear fitting, you can see that BMI is actually highly related to weight, and this is actually very apparent in these two curves. So it will be 0.86 times, it is the 86% correlation factor is there. So that means quite a good linear correlation is there between these two values, the BMI and the weight, correct? So as we were discussing, when we do a simple regression analysis, and if we have dependent variables in inputs, there will be certain problems, be certain non-converging solutions where we can have multiple solutions in place of one to get the optimal regression model. And there can be other aspects of errors that are introduced because there is so much relationship between one input and the other. So generally what happens is in normal linear regression problems, एक मिनट रुको यार, just a sorry. So in general regression sets, we try to avoid these interrelationships or multicollinearity. And that helps us in getting appropriate values. However, in many other types of regression analysis, which are not just simple linear regressions, there are algorithms that can deal with this kind of data as well. The only thing is that first it itself finds out what is the relationship between dependent variables, and then it basically factors that thing into the algorithm. So there regression method is just an umbrella term, and in regression there can be many things. Generally, when we think about regression, we think that there will be an equation that will come out right. So generally, it's not every time true. So one way of doing regression is finding a representative equation, but representative model that we have to find out. That's the whole point of regression. Okay. So regression can include even neural networks and even fuzzy logics, and that will not have equations. That will have models that will give you the correct answer. Okay. So this is one, multicollinearity. Then we had heterodiscacity. मैं भी confused हो जाता हूँ इसमें. Heteroscedasticity. Okay. So there are two terms, homoscedasticity and heteroscedasticity. Basically, what it means is, with respect to increase in the x value, if the variation in the y values is not increasing, it is homoscedasticity. Like for example, in this, where the variation between the values is not that much. Okay. With respect to increase in x value or the input variable. While the opposite, if there is a variation change that is there, as we increase the input variables, the variation in the output variable is increasing with respect to increase in variable. So that time what happens is, there is a problem in regular regression analysis. Like for example, suppose there is we have to find a relationship between the salary that we receive with respect to age of person. Okay. So generally starting salaries, though in very niche cases, it can be very high. Otherwise, starting salaries with respect to age are generally less variant. But as we increase in age, or as a person ages, there is a large deviation between the salaries of different persons, right? So someone can कोई सरकारी नौकरी में होगा तो he won't have that much increase as compared to someone in maybe private or something, whatever situation may be. The point here is that variation between the final variable or the output variable is high is in the variation. Now what though again there are many models that can deal with it. Regular linear regression or regular regression models have tough time dealing with it. And general approach towards like a problem like this is, even by regular regression analysis, we can give upper bound and lower bound regression models. So उसमें क्या होता है, in that sense we generally go for the upper set regression, the lower set regression, and the mean set regression. तो 3 regression करके we can actually define our model in that sense. ये एक approach हो सकती है heteroscedasticity की. Otherwise, there are multiple algorithms for that as well. Okay. कोई हाथ उठा रहा था, स्वाति? Yeah.
Is homoscedasticity related to multicollinearity? Can we say it like that?
No. It's not like that. It's something like कि जैसे for example ना, that I said कि if any data that is जैसे x-axis में अगर कुछ हमारा data as the data increases, अगर यहाँ पे variation जो data का है y में, it is not increasing, then it is homoscedasticity. Okay. अगर variation बढ़ रहा है, if this variation is increasing, see in this example also, as we increase the values of x or the increase the value of input variable, then the variation should increase, basically that. Collinearity से इसका इतना ज़्यादा relation नहीं, क्योंकि यहाँ तो हम एनीवेज अभी तो सिंगल वेरिएबल की बात कर रहे हैं. कोलिनियरिटी वर्क्स इन मल्टीपल वेरिएबल्स, जब वेरिएबल्स ज़्यादा हों, राइट. अच्छा, इन दैट सेंस एक केस ये हो सकता है कि the reason for this increase may be another factor that maybe as you said multivariable wala part ho sakta hai, but because we are just considering that here single variable, so we can't comment on that. So for with respect to single variable, it's just heteroscedasticity, that's it. तो वो कमेंट करना कि वो क्यों हो रहा है इतना वेरिएशन, दैट कैन बी अदर फैक्टर्स. तो जैसे वही एज वाला एग्जांपल ले लें, एज और इनकम वाला, इन दैट कैन बी लाइक किस तरीके की जॉब है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर, पब्लिक सेक्टर, दैट कैन बी इन्फ्लुएंसिंग फैक्टर, राइट. सो इनपुट वेरिएबल्स अगर इंक्रीज करेंगे तो आवर बेसिकली मॉडल विल बी बेटर फिटेड. कुछ आंसर, डिड यू गेट माय पॉइंट स्वाति?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ठीक है. सो दिस इज हेटेरोस्केडास्टिसिटी. टंग ट्विस्टर थोड़ा सा. Then we have overfitting and underfitting. This we were discussing also. तो मैं इसको थोड़ा सा और तरीके से I will try to explain. Suppose data that is more represented by a non-linear function like a curve, or in this sense a power trend line like x square or something like that. Okay. And what we can do for getting this curve is either use an initial equation of curve like y equals to ax square plus bx plus c or something like that, or we can start with like a linear relation mx plus c and try to look into what happens, right? So what is happening in these three portions are, it is just actually what generally we do in regression analysis. We start with the linear regression. We go for more complex regressions and we start making more complex unless we reach a proper fit. Now, where is the proper fit? That's the whole point of this overfitting and underfitting. Reaching a proper fit is also a thing to study, and that we will also consider when we decide on the quality of fitting or the quality of curve fitting, when we'll discuss that today. Okay. So in those sense, there are two conditions in which wherever the optimum is not reached, either it is on the less optimized side or it is on the higher optimized side. Higher optimized side में क्या है कि we are actually taking care of each and every data set, and rather than taking care of the averages and all, we are actually taking care कि the fit should be so each and every data set for that exact equation. So how you will do that? Basically, you will start increasing the these terms. So यहाँ पे we have reached to ax square plus bx plus c. Here maybe it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be like maybe ax5 plus bx4 plus cx3 and so on. Or we can go for a sinusoidal curvature function or something like that. The whole point here is that in case of underfitting, anyways, we are not reaching, we are not getting a representative model, because this relationship does not suit whatever data that we have, right? It doesn't represent, and the error also will be very high, right? Error will be very high. But here, error will be very, very low, because we are actually very close to our actual observed values, right? Our equation quite accurately matches what data set we have given. The problem here is that our actual data set is also not accurate or based on any equation, on a certain equation. It is like a physical phenomena that we are trying to represent with a certain equation, right? So it will have its own errors, it will have its own biases and so on. So the data that we have given it, if we match the model exactly to the data that we have given it, there will be a problem of the next set of data that will come that will not match the actual fitted model. For example, suppose this is maybe optimized with respect to second degree equation or ax square plus bx plus c. Let's say this is the representative equation and it is giving us the best result, right? So in order to find a position here somewhere, we will just put the y values and get the get the x give the x value and get the y value, right? So according to this curve, that is the second degree curve, it should be something like this, right? But according to this 5-degree or multiple degrees curve, it will be continuing with the trend, right? And according to the x value that we give, it will give at a certain place that is not representative of the actual results. Now overfitting, though error is less and it is very easy for us to consider that this is a very perfect a model for our data set. But again, the problem is that it won't be representing the actual real life condition that is there. How to avoid this? This also we discussed yesterday. So, and we'll be discussing later on that. So many times, even if we have sufficient amount of data, we divide our data into 2 or 3 portions. One is used for training, right? One is used for testing, and another thing is called validation that we'll discuss later on when neural networks are being dealt with. So consider these two, training and testing. So when we divide our data, I suppose 70% of the data is used for training and 30% is for testing. So only 70% of our data is used for finding this model. What advantage we have is we can actually test the overfitting condition by the remaining set of testing testing data, right? If our equation has become representative, then the error for these test data should be also very less, as we will do for regression analysis. But if it is overfitted, the error will be actually much more than what we found for the model. So this is a way of testing whether we are overfitting, any condition is there of overfitting. Underfitting, even for the testing, the error will be very high, so we have to anyways go for further improvement of our model. So these are 2 conditions that we will get, underfitting and overfitting, and accordingly we have to deal with it. We have to avoid both of these cases. Generally, just to give a trend, it is easy to underfit also. There are randomly arranged variables and we are just putting a line there. Many of the researchers, you will see that they have just given a single linear model that, okay, this is linearly increasing, linearly decreasing, but actually it's a very curvaceous or a different type of model that represents that sample. So yeah, people do that generally when the stakes are not that high, and we just have to see whether, in a general sense, what is the trend. But if we want to actually represent our data, then we have to go for a balanced fit that is not under and that is not over. Okay, so I think till this point we had done last time. Today we'll move ahead with this, and we talk about another thing called another terms or a set of terms called deviations, errors, and residuals. Okay. In general sense, all these terms, deviations, errors, and residuals, all these terms indicate the same thing. What they indicate? Deviation is anything, or in general sense, anything that is different from the actual model that we are trying to fit. So suppose we are doing a regression analysis, right? And we have given a line and we have these points as data sets. So anything, the difference between these 2 values, the point, the y value at a given x with respect to predicted value and the actual value will give us the deviation in that, right? This deviation will be called different in different scenarios. If we are fitting and while the fitting is going on and while we are doing the analysis sort of, these are generally called residuals. Okay. And residuals basically mean that what is left, right? As the term says, reside, what is the residual of the fitted value. So if we are fitting this curve, say y equals to whatever mx plus c, this will be the residual value of that. This is also called error, but errors generally, when we denote error, we denote error with respect to the actual value. Now, same thing you can say this is also actual value and this is predicted value. This is called residual. Why we are terming error as actual? Ideally speaking, if we have got a particular model, suppose in this left side curve, this one y equals to mx plus c, if you say, this part, the part which I have enclosed in this box, is actually our model of concern, right? Now, even after fitting the model, which is if you're giving us the best model fit and everything that is there, even after that, when we have certain deviations, like we will have, right? It is not 100% fit. If it is 100% fit by a line or any curve, then we won't have any errors, right? But if it is not 100% fit, it is 98%, 97%, or any percentage that we get, and this is the optimum model that we have, then any deviations that are there from the observed value to the value of this fit are generally termed as errors. So both are same, but during the processing and the curve fitting time or the regression time, when we are referring to the deviations, we are referring them as residuals. While it is done and we have got the optimum points, then what we have got the optimum model, then whatever deviations are there, then these are termed as errors. Though this is the general definition, this goes under a drain when we talk about root mean square errors and mean square errors and all during the regression analysis as well. But still, the point to note is, though they indicate same things, the terminology generally of the residuals is towards the regression modeling time, and errors is a general term which respect to the actual model that we have got. Okay. So this is about errors. We will discuss more about what kind of errors are there in coming slides and how they are calculated as well. But this is the general way in which these are termed as deviations. Deviations is the umbrella term, and the deviations in during regression residuals, and not, or the actual work is errors. Okay. Not very important to it won't be a tough task to differentiate, but still it's there. Okay. So now we come to actual regression work. So how our actual regression work happens? Suppose we have this data that we have certain input, and these are 15 input sets. The input is like regular input of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, something like that, whatever values it might indicate. And some relationship between that, there is 14, that is 11, 15, 16, 21, 30, generally increasing, but it also decreases at some places. So some relationship is there, right? Now, how we approach this problem, how we can find a good suitable model that fits these inputs and these outputs. So in terms of variables, we are having a one input variable, maybe represented by X here, one output variable may be represented by Y here, right? Now, if we plot these X and Y, we get this kind of data distribution. Now, if you see, this is generally, if we refer our terminologies, in that sense, we generally have not have much outliers, though you can say this one goes out or this one goes out. But in overall terms, we see it is not falling as outliers, or somewhere the data is not here or somewhere. So general outliers are not present on a visual inspection. We do not, because we are dealing with just one variable, so collinearity is not a concern. It's so it's not varying with respect to the X, right? So that's also not an issue. Skedasticity. So it is homoskedasticity is being shown, not hetero. So that's also not an issue. So we can go for a linear regression, a simple regression model for that. So if we just ballpark it, like kahan hoga, our line may be somewhere around this in between, matching most of the points and like this, like that, right? So if we assume that there will be some line, right, which we try to ballpark it just by eyeballing it. So maybe which will have most of the points collinear with the line and somewhere in between these varying points, right? And it will be represented certain y equals to b1x plus b2 or mx plus c if you want in general sense. But let's keep it b1 and b2 or b0 and b1, whatever you want. Okay, now how to optimize this? What's the fundamental of finding the b1 and b2? It can be this equation, it can be this equation, it can be this equation, any equation it can be, right? If we are talking about linear terms, how do we decide? Now, the best way to decide is to find, as we said, the residuals or deviations. So what are deviations? Deviations are basically these differences. So if we just start with, suppose, let me remove these. If we start with just this line and see how much is the variation between the actual y value and the observed y value or the predictive y value. So observed y value and the predicted y value, we will get some errors, right? So this will be y minus y observed, suppose, right? Or y predicted minus y observed, suppose, like that. So yi or minus y observed anywhere. So in that sense, there will be certain errors that will be there, right? So in this way, we can calculate a series of errors that we can get from all these points with respect to whatever line we give. So when we start with the regression analysis, we do that. We find the errors, and basic formula you know how to find the errors. That's not a big deal, right? And how we can sum up the total errors is called maybe different types of errors that we can find out. So one way to sum up the errors is just simply adding up these errors. So the sum of errors, or SE, is simply that. That is yi minus yi observed or predicted, and its sum. So if this has the y value of this one is, suppose, around 15, and the value of here is around 10, just assuming. So the error will be 5, right? Here it will be a negative error. So yes, if this is 10 and this is like 12, so minus 2 or something like that, and so on, right? Now the problem with this method, the sum of errors method, is even though it sums up all these, the positive and the negative errors will actually try to cancel out each other, because there is no convention of signs, because we have to take one sign convention only, right? So if that happens, what it will lead to is, if there are equal amount of errors and equal amount of errors on the negative side, the total error will become to 0 and we will get 100% match. But that is not true, right? So sum of errors, that's why it's a bit of problem to understand the goodness of it with respect to just simple sum of errors. So we move on to sum of absolute errors. Now, what is sum of absolute errors? Basically, we remove the negative sign and we just calculate the total amount of errors that are there. This is a better representation of what are the total amount of errors that are there in that. So in place of 5 minus 2, it will be 5 plus 2. यहाँ पे 0, maybe यहाँ पे भी -1 or something, so यहाँ पे +1, and so on. So all the positives will be added and the total error will be found out. So this is a better way to find out the errors. It is AE, or absolute errors, right? And generally when we do a simple regression analysis, the first thing that we get is the sum of absolute errors. Total amount of error kitna hai. That's the thing that we get. Okay. Now, if we try to take the average of this, so if there are 15 points and we try to average it out. That is called the mean absolute error, or MAE. Okay, and this is represented by just by dividing the sum of absolute errors by number of points. So in our case it is 15, so whatever the error divided by 15. These the concept is basically we have to find a line that gives us the least amount of errors. So how we'll do that? Basically minimizing this portion. Now, though it can be done, we can have certain combinations of that and find out which is there. But finding an optimum with respect to B, suppose B naught and B1 in terms of Y is difficult, because this will require a sort of a linear programming. Remember, like we are doing in mine systems, right? There are n number of equations, and we find some linear programming methods to find out the minimization problem of that, basically. So we can find that out, but generally in these conditions, what happens is there are no unique solutions in terms of single degree errors, or just the absolute errors or mean absolute errors. So how we deal with this is basically take it to the second degree. So we basically square these errors. Okay. And there are various other square errors type, like there is a sum of square errors, simple, just summation of all the errors that are squared, y minus y observed by a square, right? So E square is called the sum of squared errors, SSE. This is the most commonly used error that generally is used for minimizing linear regression models. Then we have mean square error, just we take the mean, again simple, and have root mean square error. Just put this whole mean square inside the root, and we have the root mean square error. All these where the square terms are related, we deal these with problems of differentiation. So suppose if you remember your differentiation exercises, if we want to minimize a function, or we want to minimize a value, we just differentiate it with respect to x, right? And find out where the dy by dx is becoming 0. So whenever the minima or the maxima happens, that times dy by dx will be 0, right? And that will give us a good idea of how to find out the minimum parameters of that area, right? Same concept यहाँ पे भी है. We do the same thing here. We basically differentiate this whole function, यहाँ पे जो आया summation, and we find out the values of if y equals to b1x plus b2, या b2x plus b1, जो भी है. So we try to minimize this equation and find the b1 and b2. That's the whole point of regression analysis, a linear regression analysis, for example. So we equation would have changed and we would have found it a different way. But once we try to find out how do we do it in a linear model, we can actually interpolate it with respect to all other models that we want to. ठीक है, तो एक exercise करते हैं. Let's try to solve this. Let's take this for example, just the sum of square method. So इसमें क्या है? The total amount of errors, suppose, let me change the color. So total errors जो है यहाँ पे t, suppose, is this one. So summation of yi and the equation one, the difference between that. So क्या करते हैं? Let's put the equation here. Let the equation be what I will do is equation या तो mx plus c में ले लेते हैं, या b नॉट और b1 में ले लेते हैं, या b1 b2 में, whichever you want. So let's take a b1 b2 universal equation जो है अपनी, उस सेंस में लेते हैं. ठीक है, तो let's take the equation of this line as y equals to b1 plus b2x मैं एक्चुअली मैच करना चाह रहा हूँ जो अगला मैंने निकाल दिया है सोल्यूशन, इफ दिस कन्वेंशन इज द सेम और नॉट. जस्ट अ सेक. b1x प्लस b2 ये है ना. ठीक है, तो वो करके दिखाता हूँ. आई विल ट्राई टू सॉल्व इट एंड देखते हैं कि क्या आता है. ठीक है. सो इफ द इक्वेशन इज y इक्वल्स टू b1x प्लस b2 और b1 प्लस b2x, सो इसको सिंपली लिख सकते हैं y इक्वल्स टू mx प्लस c, राइट. चलो यही कन्वेंशन रखते हैं. लेट्स ट्राई टू सॉल्व दिस. थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज हो जाऊंगा बट ट्राई, लेट्स ट्राई. ठीक है. So if this is the equation, we will have the summation of yi, right? And we can subtract this, the value observed as b1 minus b2 xi, right? And that's the whole square. Yahi hai equation, right? For the total error, if we just replace this yi with this one, we basically want to minimize this full or TE or the total error, right? So इसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? We can actually differentiate with respect to B1 and B2 to find their values. So what I will do is I will find the DTE by B1, DB1 and DTE by B2, right? कुछ नहीं है, सिंपल डिफरेंशिएशन है. इफ़ यू रिमेंबर, इस पूरे को हम लोग विल राइट इट एज 2 if it represented by 2s and then inside ये वाला सेम रह जाएगा, राइट. yi minus b2 minus b1 minus b2 xi ये सेम रहेगा. एंड देन वी डिफरेंशिएटेड विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b1 इनसाइड. सो b1 इनसाइड का कुछ नहीं, -1 आएगा, राइट. तो यहाँ -1. दिस वन इज फॉर विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b1. विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b2 इट्स सेम, ये फिर से टर्म आ जाएगा, राइट. समेशन ऑफ yi minus b1 minus b2 xi, दैट्स सेम, राइट. एंड फिर डिफरेंशिएशन में बट वी विल हैव माइनस xi बिकॉज वी आर डिफरेंशिएटिंग इट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b2. सो b2 गया, माइनस xi रह गया, राइट. ये हो गया हमारा these two equations, करेक्ट. अब फॉर फाइंडिंग द मिनिमा वी हैव टू इक्वेट दिस टू 0, करेक्ट. ये अपना सिंपल डिफरेंशिएशन है जिसमें मिनिमाइज करने के लिए या मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए वी हैव टू इक्वेट द डिफरेंशिएशन टू 0, डिफरेंशियल. तो इसको करते हैं. व्हाट वी कैन डू इज वी कैन जस्ट इक्वेट दीज टू 0, राइट. तो -1 और 2 तो बाहर निकाल देते हैं. बेसिकली जो बचा दैट इज इक्वल्स टू 0 एंड यहाँ पे भी ऐसे ही करते हैं. बट xi वी कांट बिकॉज xi विल गो इनसाइड. ठीक है. तो लेट्स टेक अप फर्स्ट इक्वेशन. फर्स्ट इक्वेशन को लेते हैं, जगह कम है बट स्टिल. सो समेशन ऑफ i इक्वल्स टू 1 to n, आई एम जस्ट राइटिंग द समेशन, जस्ट एज्यूम इट इज y2 इक्वल टू n, yi, राइट, माइनस b1 माइनस b2 xi, राइट, इक्वल्स टू 0. नाउ अगर इसको खोलें, if we open this up, so it will be, right, summation of bi, तो कितना, -b1 minus b1 minus b1, it will be till n b1, right, n times because it is I equals to 1 to n. So n b1 minus समेशन, और यहाँ पे b2 को कॉमन ले लेते हैं बाहर, एंड इट विल बी समेशन ऑफ xi. अब अगर मैं इस पूरी इक्वेशन को n से डिवाइड कर लेता हूँ, तो व्हाट विल हैपन इज, व्हाट आई विल गेट इज दिस विल बी समेशन ऑफ yi, राइट, माइनस b1 माइनस b2 summation of xi by n. Now Do see these terms, summation of yi by n, summation of xi by n. क्या हो रही है ये? Basically, hold on just a sec please. Sorry about that. So, ये these terms, do have a look at these terms. These are summation of yi by n, summation of xi by n. Basically, these are what? These are averages of y values and x values, right? तो इसको उसी टर्म्स में लिख देते हैं. थोड़ा सा मिटाते हैं कुछ चीज़ें. Let's remove this one, ऊपर वाला. Okay. ये इतना राइटिंग फ्रेंडली नहीं है. Okay. So if we take these equation and this we found what it is basically y bar or y minus b1 minus b2 x का mean, right? यही है, equals to 0. That's the whole equation, correct? इसमें किसी को कोई डाउट? तो इसमें क्या करते हैं, ये वाला पार्ट को इधर ले जाते हैं एंड we will form equations in terms of a b1 plus b और ऐसा करते हैं कि x b1 plus y b2 equals to c, ऐसा करके कुछ रखते हैं, so that we get equations in terms of linear equations between b1 and b2. ठीक है, तो इस इक्वेशन को बेसिकली हम लोग लिख सकते हैं x बार और मीन ऑफ x इंटू b2 प्लस b1 इक्वल्स टू y का मीन. ठीक है, ये एक हो गया. ये एक इक्वेशन आया हमारा फ्रॉम डिफरेंशिएटिंग दिस वन, करेक्ट. अब हमारे पास है दिस इक्वेशन, द सेकंड वन. लेट मी रब दिस अगेन. ओके, इसमें थोड़ा खेल और है. वी हैव टू डू अ लिटिल बिट मोर बट क्वाइट सिंपल अगेन. थोड़ा सा बस कंसेप्ट्स समझने का है कि व्हाट वी आर डूइंग, and that's why I want to explain this differentiation part as well कि कैसा हो रहा है. ठीक है, so just to see inside क्या हुआ यहाँ पे, we have removed the 2, we have removed the minus sign, so it has become basically summation of यहाँ पे xi अंदर ले लेते हैं, we take the xi inside, right, and it is yi minus b1 minus b2 xi, right. This is full inside and that is equals to 0, correct. अब क्या करते हैं, we just open these up. Let's see. So summation of xi and yi, this is 1, right, and then we have minus x minus b1 summation of xi, right, and we have then minus b2 summation of xi का square, right, that is equals to 0, right. ये वाला समझ में आ गया, we have just opened it up, correct. So basically what is happening is this is x and y का multiplication and summing that up for all the values of 1 to 15 in this case, right. यहाँ पे we are just summing the x and we are summing the x का square का sum. So we first square the x and then sum it up, right. तो in that sense अगर हम लोग अब फिर से n से divide करते हैं तो क्या होगा, हाँ, if we divide it by n right now, so what will happen is this sum term will go for summation of xi yi by n, right? This is the mean of x and y का product का mean, right? And minus b1, and this is if we divide it by n, then this becomes the x ka mean that we saw here, right? So this will become x mean, correct? Mean we are representing by bar, and minus b2 summation of x1 or x square, and this is also equals, right? थोड़ा hodgepodge हो गया. Let me write it in a way that is similar to this. Let me rub this. देख रहे हो ना? So is the same equation can be actually written as, अगर मैं इन दोनों को n के फॉर्म में ही रखता हूँ, so this can be written as let me take the b1 and b2 terms this side, like I have done in this case. Summation of x is x square, your xi square by n b2 plus x bar b1 equals to, because these are negative signs now, so these will go on that side, right? Equals to summation of x I yi by n, right? So अब इसमें बस एक स्टेप और है, and then we get our solution just by doing like solving the linear sets of equation like that. So if we divide it by x bar now, if we divide it by the mean, we get these b values. So now we have two equations. See, if अगर इस form में ही रखें हम इसे, we have two equations. We have two unknowns. We can actually find b1 and b2 in terms of x bar, y bar, x and all these, right? तो बस सिंपली सॉल्व करना है इसे. हम मैं बेसिकली डिवाइड करने जा रहा हूँ x बार से. सो इट इज समेशन ऑफ x i स्क्वायर बाय n x बार b2, राइट, प्लस b1 इक्वल्स टू समेशन ऑफ x i y i बाय n x बार. कैसे लिख देंगे? ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चन 3 हो गई. If we subtract equation 1 from equation 3, क्या आएगा हमारे पास? b2 की वैल्यू निकाल सकते हैं, राइट? तो b2 की वैल्यू निकाल देते हैं. 141. Okay. So b2 एक स्टेप में करते हैं, दो स्टेप में करते चलो. b2 अगर देखें, b2 कॉमन समेशन ऑफ x स्क्वायर बाय n x बार, राइट, माइनस x बार, राइट, जो यहाँ पे यहाँ से ले रहा हूँ, इक्वल्स टू समेशन ऑफ x y x i y i बाय n x बार, राइट, एंड माइनस y बार. ठीक है, यही आया, करेक्ट? तो n x बार नीचे डिनोमिनेटर में करके इसको कैंसिल करके वॉट एवर फाइनली b2 will be summation of x y, right, xi yi minus n x bar y bar, करेक्ट? ऐसे ही आ रहा है, अपॉन ये वाला टर्म नीचे आ जाएगा, समेशन ऑफ एक्स आई का स्क्वायर माइनस एक्स बार एन एक्स बार का स्क्वायर. यही आया. So this is how you find B2, correct? और अगर तुम यहाँ पे B2 लगा दोगे in equation 1, you will get B1. So that becomes easy, right? तो अभी हमने from all this exercise what we have done is we have found out कि if we have any equation that is defined by y equals to b1 plus b2x, general equation of a line, if that is there and the data is given, we can actually find the optimum line which will give us least errors, least square errors, and for that the b1 and b2 are these, right? B2 is this and b1 we can find from here, correct? So wahi this is actually the whole point of regression modeling, simple regression modeling. Basically हम लोगों को errors निकालने हैं, e निकालनी है वैल्यू, e का स्क्वायर निकालना है वैल्यू का यहाँ से, राइट? एंड उसको डिफरेंशिएट करके, और इन एनी वेज वी हैव टू बेसिकली मिनिमाइज इट. अब यहाँ पे इट कैन बी डिफरेंट इक्वेशन, यहाँ पे तुम्हारी डबल डिफरेंशियल, ट्रिपल डिफरेंशियल कुछ भी हो सकती थी, राइट? यहाँ पे तुम्हारा मल्टीपल वेरिएबल हो सकता था, b1 प्लस b2x प्लस b3 x, ये x1 ये x2 प्लस b4 x3 एंड सो ऑन, ऐसा भी हो सकता था, राइट? तो इन दिस केस क्या होता, देयर विल बी b1 b2 b3 b4 4 इक्वेशंस, 4 वेरिएबल्स, एंड फिर डिफरेंशिएशन में भी 4 इक्वेशंस आती विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b1, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b2, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b3, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू b4, राइट? तो ऐसे ही डिफरेंशिएशन में भी ऐसे ही आता. Even non-linear में भी where x square and all things are there, because we are anyways differentiating with respect to just the variables, with respect to just the coefficients, so those things doesn't matter, ठीक है? तो all these kind of regression modeling or the fitting basically can be done by finding the summation of finding the least total errors that are there. ओके इसमें कोई कंफ्यूजन अभी तक? किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन है इसमें? ठीक है, अल्टीमेटली वी गेट दीज इक्वेशंस. b2 की वैल्यू आ जाती है समेशन ऑफ xi yi माइनस nx बार y बार ओवर समेशन ऑफ xi का स्क्वायर माइनस nx बार स्क्वायर. ठीक है, ध्यान रखना ये इन दोनों में कंफ्यूज नहीं होना. जैसे डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज बिटवीन एक्स वाई का बार दैट इज नॉट इक्वल्स टू एक्स बार वाई बार. ओके, ये मतलब जैसे अगर x और y का एवरेज लेते हैं, एक्स वाई, दिस इज बेसिकली द प्रोडक्ट ऑफ एक्स वाई एंड एवरेजिंग दैट, summation of product of x y and averaging that. These are means of x and y and then multiplying that. These are not equal, okay? And neither is the mean of x square is not equals to x mean का square, okay? ये दोनों term जो यहाँ दिख रहे हैं, these are not equal. ठीक, तो दोनों अलग अलग चीज़ें हैं, ध्यान रखने का है. Do remember this, okay? तो चलो एक एक्सरसाइज करते हैं. अब मेरा तो ज़्यादातर बताने का हो गया. एक लेट्स ट्राई दिस एग्जांपल. वी हैव दिस राइट, 0.1 2 3 4 15 तक हैं, 2 4 यही वाला जो हम लोगों ने लिया था, 2 4 6 8 तक है. आउटपुट्स हैं. नाउ व्हाट यू डू इज यू फाइंड आउट एक्स वाई, एक्स स्क्वायर, वाई स्क्वायर. वैसे वाई स्क्वायर की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी यहाँ पे, बट स्टिल. So you can find x, y, and then find the sum here. So suppose, for example, 14.75. So here will be 2 into 14.75, right? यहाँ पे 4 into 11.03, right? And so on. ऐसा करके values आएंगी. Here it will be the sum of all these, right? So sum of x, y, तो basically ये वाली term हम लोग निकाल रहे हैं, right? ऐसे ही x और y का sum तो हमारे पास है ही, यहाँ पे आ जाएगा. Sum of x, all the values of x here, and the sum of y, all the values of y here, correct? कैलकुलेटर्स निकालो जल्दी जल्दी और बताओ मेरे को। फिर हम लोग क्या करेंगे, एक्स स्क्वायर निकालेंगे। ये एक्स स्क्वायर का वैल्यू यहाँ आ जाएगा। तो एक्स इज बेसिकली ये इनपुट, ध्यान रखना एक्स इज इनपुट, वाई इज आउटपुट। ठीक है, तो एक्स स्क्वायर इज यहाँ पे 4, यहाँ पे 416 एंड सो ऑन, राइट। और फिर इन सब का सम भी हो जाएगा यहाँ पे, ऑल द स्क्वायर सम्स, करेक्ट। तो ये वाला वैल्यू निकल आएगा हमें, सम ऑफ एक्स के स्क्वायर्स एंड एक्स बार का स्क्वायर। एक्स बार इज बेसिकली द मीन ऑफ दिस, सो इसका मीन कहीं निकाल लेना डिवाइड बाय 15 करके। So there will be 4 values we want. These ones, these two are from will be obtained from here and here, right? Or x bar and y bar is basically average of these x and y. ठीक है, चलो निकालो जल्दी से। और B2 बताओ मेरे को क्या आता है। अच्छा, इसमें थोड़ा टाइम लग सकता है तो मैं तुम्हें वैल्यूज बता देता हूँ। चलो, दिस इज दीज आर द वैल्यूज। फाइनली तुम लोगों का सम ये आया of xy is this, sum of x square is this, mean of x अभी निकालना पड़ेगा, sum is 240 and mean of x y भी निकालना पड़ेगा, sum is 445.07। ठीक, जल्दी से बताओ what is the value of B2 and what is the value of B1? Come on. क्या ही B2, what's the value of B2? Okay, and B1? Right. B1, B2 and B1। फिर इक्वेशन बताओ, y इक्वल्स टू क्या क्या? नाइस। सही है, समझ में आ रहा है। बेसिकली वॉट एवर वैल्यूज वी गेट ऑफ एक्स वाई, सम करके दिस वी आर पुटिंग इट हियर, राइट। n is 15 फॉर अवर केस, यहाँ पे 15 पॉइंट है, 15 पॉइंट्स आर देयर, राइट। The mean of x is sum of x by the number of points, so 240 by 15. The mean of y is sum of y by 15, 445 यहाँ पे। The sum of xi square is basically the sum of squares here, that is 4960, correct? And n is again 15 and x bar again as we found from 240 by 15 और उसका square, थोड़ा किच पिच हो गया, but you get the idea. So the correct answer is B2 is this 1.922 and B1 10.59663 कैसे आया तुम्हारा? थोड़ा सा पॉइंट्स में इधर उधर हुआ है बट स्टिल ठीक है. तो दिस काइंड ऑफ वे वी डू अ सिंपल रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस. ठीक है, क्लियर है? इसी चीज को अगर तुम सेम टू सेम थिंग वी डू इन एक्सेल ऑल्सो. जो हम लोगों का ट्रेंड लाइन बनाने का कंसेप्ट रहता. लेट मी क्विकली शो यू दिस. सपोज वी हैव द डेटा टाइम. Where is my data? Okay, this is there. Okay, this is the data. Point number, input and output. यही इसी पे अभी काम कर रहे हैं हम लोग, right? So if we plot these two simply and do a scatter plot in Excel, ऐसे ही आ रहा है. Same thing we are getting. When we add the trend line, the computer actually does a very simple regression analysis for linear programming. Oh, linear regression analysis. ठीक है. We can force it to do other type of regression analysis as well. We can force it for an exponential regression, logarithmic, polynomial, whatever we want. ठीक है. लेकिन generally we start with linear one. अच्छा, एक चीज और दिखाता हूँ before finishing this. So finding the equation is basically based on this. So regression analysis करके if we display the equation, you will see the same answer that we are getting also. So 1.192, right? And 10.596. थोड़ा सा closer. यही है. ठीक है. That's the whole point, whole process of how we find this x y equals to mx plus c equation. Same thing we can do for any other logarithmic, any other type of function that we have, we can do it for that. ऐसा मैं क्या दिखा रहा था? I was showing कि overfitting वाला केस क्या होता है. So this moving average is basically an overfit model. इसमें equation शायद नहीं देगा, लेकिन what it is trying to do is basically it is averaging for each step, changing the average, and by that what is happening is it is basically trying to fit as many points as possible. इसको मैं और okay. Something is there. तो एक तरीका ये है, एक है जैसे पॉलिनोमियल डाल दिया मैंने. ओके, पॉलिनोमियल हैज बेसिकली 3x² + x प्लस, सो वही वाला एक कंडीशन है, ax² + bx + c. So from linear we have moved to polynomial. अब इसमें if we want to see the goodness of fit, actually there will be some change. Like for linear it is 0.89. For polynomial it is much better, 0.914. So this data is more represented by that. So in case of linear, actually we were underfitting. Logarithmic or polynomial we are overfitting, normally fitting. और अगर इसमें और बढ़ाएं, suppose I increase the order from 2 की जगह 3, फिर 4, फिर 5, फिर 6, and so on. So what it is trying to do is basically by increasing the number of degree, it is trying to match as many points as possible. देख रहे हो? हर केस में तुम्हारा r² बढ़ेगा ही बढ़ेगा. You see, if you want to check, 6 डिग्री में 0.94 है, मतलब 6 डिग्री में 945 है, इन here 0.944, 925, 919, 914. ठीक है. So as we keep on increasing the number of these coefficients, जैसे x, b1, b2, b3, basically we are increasing, right? यहाँ पे 3 है, we increase it to 4, 5, 6 and 7 now. So r² is increasing because it basically gets more options to fit it properly. But what is happening is basically it is overfitting it, as we were discussing कि now basically इतने ही data पे it is trying to fit as many equations as possible with respect to that. Advantage, disadvantage हम लोग देख ही चुके हैं कि overfitting में क्या होगा. If an other part of the data is there, it won't be suitable with this model. Okay, तो how to find like R square. Okay, we will explain what is R square, but we'll also understand कि कैसे ये avoid किया जाए. ठीक है, तो पहले R square discuss करते हैं. Now, coefficient of determination or R square is the best way to basically judge this कि किस तरीके से किया जा सकता है ये. How well the model is fit. Concept यही है. The concept behind finding the R square value is कि जो variations और ये जो deviations हैं, whichever deviations are there, or the residuals that were there, or now because we have optimized we can call them errors. तो जो errors हैं, the point is errors are they sufficiently high with respect to the variation in regular variation in y. So suppose what they mean to say is there the total variation between y values actually कितना है. Already the variation in y is this much, right? In these values, correct? Right? इतना variation with respect to x, y का हो रहा है. But in respect to this is, in respect to this variation is the cumulative variation of in respect to y is either more or less or बराबर. Basically क्या कहना चाह रहा है the whole concept is we find the sum of squares of errors and the sum of squares of y का variance. Y how much is varying. Okay, so the y value itself is varying to certain extent, and then the points will also vary to certain extent. So the R square, the point of calculation of R square is to find out कि कितना portion of this variation is justified within the variation of y. So if the variation is very small, with respect to the variation of y, suppose y की value हमारी यहाँ पे it is going from say suppose 12 or 13 to 45, right? अगर ये होती यहाँ पे 12 to 1500 and we have very small deviations, so it will actually be a very good fit because deviations are very small, correct? लेकिन यही चीज अगर सिर्फ इतना ही होता पोर्शन, राइट, जरा सा वेरिएंस है y का, it's varying only within suppose 10 units, और उतने में ही our deviation is also around 7 or 8, so our fitting is not good with respect to that, right? So fitting, goodness of it is also very what we say relative term, correct? So in that sense, to understand that, basically they have proposed the R square to be found out with respect to the ratio of the total sum of errors, that is the E or the errors that are there, right? And with respect to the total variance that is there. So that, how we calculate the variance? Basically we subtract the average of the y, average of the y कहीं यहाँ होगा, correct, to every y that we have. तो कितना basically change हो रहा है y में. So that gives us the variance of it. Okay. So y of that value minus variance is minus average gives us the variance of that. Okay. If we calculate this and if we find our इसमें, तो एक जल्दी से calculation करके दिखाओ. In this case, what we have to do is we have to find out three things. We have to find out summation of errors, जितना error है, right? और जितना error का squares हैं उसका summation. So basically we have to find out this one, summation of square of errors, that will receive here. Y में हम लोगों को y minus y average निकालना पड़ेगा. That will be the root of variance, and then this will be the variance, right? Y minus y average का whole square, correct? तो ये वाला part पूछा इन्होंने, and from that the sum we will receive this SS total and इसका ratio. So only the R square will be basically calculated by these three values. Summation of errors, this one, value 1, and this will be value 2, correct, and इससे रेशियो निकालना है। कर सकते हैं। मैं क्या करता हूँ, लेट मी क्विकन इट अप, इसको इसके कैलकुलेशंस भी होंगी मेरे पास, लेट मी चेक। ठीक है, फाइंड आउट द आर स्क्वायर प्लीज। क्या है इसमें, व्हाट इज द आर स्क्वायर? put it simply here, SS एरर्स निकालो, SS टोटल निकालो, समीशन ऑफ स्क्वायर्स टोटल, और रेशियो करके दिखाओ, आर स्क्वायर 1 माइनस दिस वन। कैन यू फाइंड आर स्क्वायर वैल्यू फॉर दिस फिटिंग? किसी की आर स्क्वायर SS रेजिड्यूअल जो है वो है हमारी 186, करेक्ट, और जो हमारा SS टोटल है दैट इज, क्या डिवाइड ही करना है भाई, इतना टाइम क्यों लग रहा है, 1777.9 या 1778, ठीक। तो जस्ट डिवाइड दिस एंड 1 माइनस दिस, तो the R square value, as Swati has found out, I think, yeah, is very simply 0.8954, ठीक है। एक्सेल में भी देख सकते हो ये चीज़ easily, whatever the R square that is generated from there, that is also 0.8954, ठीक है। पूरा कंसेप्ट यही है, all the algorithms are this, basically error कम करते हैं and they find the relationship between these two. All the calculations can be done in this way. R square is independent of whichever type of curve fitting you are doing. The concept of regression is independent of whichever curve fitting you are doing, unless you follow the the proper standard error method. तो अगर इस तरीके से करते हैं तो वी कैन डू एक्चुअली कर्व फिट एनी टाइप ऑफ कर्व, अगर हमें इक्वेशन पता है, एंड वी कैन फाइंड द कोफिशिएंट्स विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट, ठीक है। तो दिस इज वेरी सिंपल अबाउट रिग्रेशन, बट एक चीज़ और थी, दैट फॉर दैट व्हाट आई विल डू इज, आई विल, कितना बजा 11, टेक 10 मिनट्स मोर, एंड उसमें क्या करते हैं, विल cover some part in MATLAB now. What we'll do is, let's open MATLAB and do some problems in curve fitting, like related to this, and see some more things that can be done. Okay, so even though we have good enough tools in Excel, right, we have basic regression modeling and basic things can be done. There are some disadvantages here and some obvious challenges here, because this is not exactly for regression work. This is just an add-on in this Excel. Excel is for data management more like. Even for that, it is not good, but still. So some functionality will be lacking. So what we use for our case is MATLAB. इसमें क्या करेंगे, we'll try to fit these examples and see what all we can do in this part as well. So for MATLAB, we have this curve fitting tool that is generally available with us, and in this curve fitting tool we have extensive functionality for curve fitting as compared to Excel. Otherwise, there are other softwares as well. So I think we have touched this, I think sometime previously, but here we will discuss some more things, what all the things are and what is represented by it. So first step is basically to get the data. You can make your own matrices. You can import the data directly from the file. So I'll do that. My file is, I think, here. Yeah. So the center one is my data, the inputs and the outputs. So what I will do is I will use this one as input file, and import is as a vector rather than a table. So that helps. You can use table as well, but I want to show what is a regular method. So input one, and we just click import. So it imports the data. And in respect to that, the same, the output, that is the y value, right? We select it. We rename the variable here on top, output, and we just import by clicking it here. Okay. So now once you import it, if you see your work, this one workspace, let me minimize this one. We have one input and one output, 15 by 1 vectors. So they have 15 values. So if I double click, you can see here, right? What are the values that are there? Okay. So when we have this curve fitting app that is there, the applet that is there. So now once we have those inputs and outputs, we can give the X data and the Y data, right? If you drop down, click the drop down menu, you will have these workspace variables. So input variable I can give as X, output variable I can give as Y, and generally it will fit a general default way, maybe polynomial. Okay. So it generally tries to fit something on this. If you see, it is trying to fit a polynomial curve. In polynomial, it has taken degree 1 only. So it becomes basically a linear curve. We have so many other ways in which you can do. Exponential is one, Fourier, Gaussian. So all these related equations that are there, and the type of fit or the type of equation that we want. So linear fitting, it can do with respect to whatever equations we can give, and the best fitting generally is judged by whatever goodness of fit values we are getting. Okay, so why I brought you here is because I wanted to show what are these goodness of fit values and how these things are changing. So let me do one thing. Let me do a polynomial fit. Okay, polynomial fit basically is a polynomial equation, ax general form of ax square plus whatever degree it will be. So ax to the power n plus bx to the power n minus 1 and so on till bn. So that's the general equation. And if you see in the linear model here on the left side, the equation is also written and the fitted coefficients are also there. So once it fits, it generally gives the coefficient. So 1.19, as you remember, our regression model also gave 1.19 and 10.59, right? So for this MATLAB also, the same we have got from curve fitting, 10.6 and 1.19, right? How we judge the goodness of fitting is based on certain criteria. R square is 1, so 8954 we have already calculated. So you're seeing all these are calculations are based on what we derived just now. The basic fundamental is that the regression fundamental is that there is something called the adjusted R square. Now I want to talk about that. Now adjusted R square is basically it is something some variation of R square itself, and what it says is basically it takes care of the number of input variables as well. So the P is the number of independent variables. Once we have the R square value, we can find the adjusted R square value by using this formula where 1 minus R square n minus 1 over n minus p minus 1. Now, if you see there are, if you don't have any input parameters, the R square is equals to R square, so that's same. But generally parameters will be there 1, 2, 3 or so on. So input parameters will change the R square and adjusted R square values. Why was this adjusted R square used? That's the whole point of this question. So if you see in the MATLAB now, and this one is the polynomial analysis, right? Here. So right now we have just these two, P2 and P1, these two, independent variables, we have just one, right? So independent variables, when we have just one, and so we have two coefficients, right? P1 and P2 in this case. There is something called degrees of freedom. So degrees of freedom is basically the ways in which the equation can be turned around, or in which changes can be made. So when the additional parameters are there, or the additional input parameters are there, these things start decreasing. So for 15 number of points, if we have a 15 number of points, total degrees of freedom for the points are 15 minus 1, that is 14. Okay. If we increase the parameters or the input parameters, they start decreasing by the same number of parameters. So the n minus 1 is basically the total number of degrees of freedom for the points, total degrees of freedom, n minus 1. N minus p minus 1 is the degrees of freedom after the fitting work is done. So as the number of p increases, the degrees of freedom decreases. This is basically giving us an idea of how much it is affecting, any change in degrees of freedom is affecting the R square value. देखो इसमें क्या हो रहा है? As the p increases, यहाँ पे p basically is the number of input parameters, x1 की जगह x2, x3, x4 सब चीजें, right? तो यहाँ क्या हो रहा है? ये वाला term basically increase हो रहा है because this denominator is decreasing, right? अरे simple है ना? P increases, so denominator decreases, this term increases, right? सही है? अब यहाँ पे minus है, तो this whole term becomes more negative, correct? तो ये R is time we increase P will decrease generally, considering this R square is same, right? So whenever we increase the P, we are changing the adjusted R square or decreasing the R square. Unless there is a substantial increase in the R value or R square value, right? अगर ऐसा होता है, if there is a substantial increase in the R square value, then the amount of change in number of independent variables is compensated. So adjusted R square का फंडा यही है. If we want to check कि if we are increasing, suppose हम लोग y equals to mx plus c से ax square plus bx plus c में जाते हैं, and we have seen कि जितना ज़्यादा हम लोग डिग्रीज बढ़ा रहे हैं, जैसे ax cube plus bx square में जा रहे हैं, तो as much as we are increasing, r square की वैल्यू तो बढ़ ही रही है, right? वो हम लोगों ने अभी एक्सेल में देखा, right? But is it giving sufficient impact to the fitting? That is judged by r square value. So in that case, हर किसी में p value will change. For this case, linear case, p equals to 1. For this one, p equals to 2, and so on, right? हाँ, इसमें non-linearity में each variable is also considered as p. Okay, ये ध्यान रखना. So in that case, basically the adjusted R square takes care of the number of increase in the independent variables as well. Okay. So अब क्या होगा, यही चीज अगर हम लोग जो we tried to increase the number of degrees of polynomial, उसमें Excel में करा था, तो we were seeing an increase in R square. So now we can adjusted R square also values we have now. Okay. So यहाँ पे अगर देखो on the bottom as well as on the left side, you have R square and adjusted R square both written, right? अब मैं क्या करने जा रहा हूँ? I am going to increase the degrees now. keep on looking what is changing and what is not changing. Okay. So R square for now is 0.895 and here it is 0.88, right? Increasing it to 2 or the second degree where the equation becomes now px square, p1x square plus p2x plus p3, right? इसमें क्या हो रहा है? The R square is increasing to 0.914, right? And adjusted R square is increasing to 0.899. पहले कितनी थी? 0.88, right? तो उस केस में we actually are getting a substantial increase with increasing the degrees. So इसका मतलब ये model what it tells is that it is better to do a second degree fitting. Let's say हम लोग और आगे जाते हैं. Let's say हम लोग third degree पे जाते हैं. So now do keep checking these adjusted R square and R square values. Okay. अभी इस समय adjusted R square है 0.899. Okay. I am going to the third degree now. So now what happens is, even though the R increases, R square value increased to 0.919, पहले जो 8.899 था adjusted R square का value, now it has reduced to 0.897, right? इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? That the increase per unit increase in the coefficients or per unit increase in the independent variable is not sufficient enough. Okay. एक और करके देखा तो और ज़्यादा decrease होगा. Right? 0.89 कितना था पहले? 0.897. Now it's 0.895. और increase करोगे? So now it is increasing. That is strange. But generally ऐसा नहीं होता. It's हम लोग शुरुआत के वही देखते हैं. And the whole concept of adjusted R square is this one. अब ये जो condition होगी ना आखिरी वाली, that is actually a condition of overfitting. Overfitting में R square is heavily increasing, right? उसका increase बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है. So that's why adjusted R square is even not able to compensate. But the point you understood, right? That for simple increases, we can actually rely on the rate of increase in R square and adjusted R square values, right? So ऐसा है. This is how the fitting is done. MATLAB we can do many more types of fitting. We can do three-dimensional fitting as well, X, Y, and Z. Multivariable regression analysis can be done in this easily, and as well as in Excel also multivariable regression, linear multiple variable MVRA can be done. So we can talk about that also in maybe day after tomorrow. तो मैं अभी ज़्यादा खींचूंगा नहीं इसे. Let's stop here. This was about adjusted R square, how we find out the regression, how we find out things, how the equation is fitted, optimum equation coefficients, and so on, right? So you stop here. Do try these all things out by yourself also. कुछ data लो अपने आप और कुछ try करो कि can I find out the optimum equations or the optimum regression values. All things are based on these algorithms. कुछ नहीं है, simple calculations हैं, simple concepts हैं, right? But the thing is, we have to understand हो क्या रहा है and how we can do. Now you can use any tool you want. You can use Excel, you can use MATLAB, you can use SPSS, whatever you want to. But the whole concept, what is running behind that is all this. Okay. I'll stop here. Any questions, anything you want to discuss, we can have right now. Next class, we will discuss about maybe something about anything if it is remaining in this regression. Otherwise, we will move on to neural networks. Okay, so this is basic regression. All the equations, different type of equations can be found out by these methods. There are some advantages, disadvantages, but concept behind that is on these lines only. Okay, कोई question? कोई कुछ नहीं समझ में आया, कुछ समझ में आ गया?
सर आर स्क्वायर एडजस्टेड का एक्चुअल एप्लीकेशन क्या है?
तो आर स्क्वायर और एडजस्टेड आर स्क्वायर का ये आर स्क्वायर से तो तुम्हें समझ में आया कि हाउ वेल इट इज फिटिंग, राइट? इफ द वैल्यू ऑफ आर स्क्वायर इज क्लोज टू 1, देखो ये वाला था ना 1 माइनस एस एस आर बाई ए. इफ इट इज क्लोज टू, it means it's a very good fit, right? If it is away from 1, the fitting quality will decrease. So आर स्क्वायर इज अ वैल्यू डेट रेंजेस फ्रॉम 0 to 1. बेसिकली कंसेप्ट यही है कि हाउ मच ऑफ इट इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द वाई वेरिएशन, हाउ मच एरर्स आर देयर विद रिस्पेक्ट टू वाई वेरिएशन. अगर वाई के वेरिएशन में एरर्स का प्रोपोर्शन ज़्यादा है तो वी कांट डिफेंड दिस, राइट. अगर प्रोपोर्शन कम है तो वी कैन डिफेंड इट इजीली. तो आर स्क्वायर अगर ज़्यादा है टुवर्ड्स क्लोज टू 1, इट मीन्स फिट अच्छा है, राइट. नाउ आर एडजस्टेड आर स्क्वायर का हम लोग बात कर रहे थे कि एडजस्टेड आर स्क्वायर इज अ फैक्टर इम्बाइब्ड इन आर स्क्वायर जिसमें इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स का नंबर भी ऐड हो जाता है, करेक्ट. उसकी वजह से क्या होता है, इंक्रीज इन आर स्क्वायर वैल्यू पर यूनिट नंबर ऑफ कोफिशिएंट्स या नंबर ऑफ वेरिएबल्स दैट आर देयर. उससे हमें ये पता लगता है कि अगर हम लोग वेरिएबल्स बढ़ा रहे हैं, सपोज लीनियर से नॉन लीनियर कर रहे हैं, डिग्री 2, डिग्री 3, डिग्री 4, या फिर x1, x2, x3, x4 मल्टी वेरिएबल जा रहे हैं, तो उससे क्या फ़र्क भी पड़ रहा है, हमें कुछ कुछ फ़ायदा भी हो रहा है. दैट इज़ द होल पॉइंट ऑफ एडजस्टेड आर स्क्वायर. तो आर स्क्वायर की वैल्यू अगर घटने लगती है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंक्रीज इन इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल, तो हमें लगता है हाँ अब इससे ये ज़्यादा ओवरफिट हो रहा है, इसको नहीं करना है. बेसिकली वी स्टॉप देयर. ओके. What do we do after getting best fit? Does that answer question? Nitesh था ना? Nitesh?
Yeah, yes sir, yes sir.
Yeah. Okay. Indrajit says, what do we do after getting the best fit? After getting the best fit, we have done the regression analysis. Now your data is basically represented by a certain equation, right? तो तुम उसको कहीं भी predictive analysis के लिए use कर सकते हो. Suppose तुम्हें पता लग गया कि these are the factors, ये equation है that is used to find out the factor of safety, right? So in any other case that you get, you can use that equation itself जो तुमने अभी you found, and you can use that to predict values that will be there. So basically predictive analysis और अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि क्या हो रहा है उसके लिए यूज़ होती हैं ये सब चीज़ें. रिग्रेशन, बेस्ट फिट हम लोग को कंसेप्ट वही है. हम लोगों के पास इतना सारा डेटा होगा, लाइक 100,000 पॉइंट्स आर देयर. वी आर बेसिकली रिप्रेजेंटिंग द होल प्रोसेस इन वन इक्वेशन. दैट्स द होल पॉइंट ऑफ रिग्रेशन. ठीक है. अब इक्वेशन की यहाँ मैं प्रेजेंट बात कर रहा हूँ, इट इज़ नॉट जनरली इक्वेशन, अभी आगे और देखेंगे. देयर आर मॉडल्स बेसिकली. ठीक इंद्रजीत, कुछ और पूछना चाहता था क्या? ओके. तो यही है बेसिकली द होल पॉइंट ऑफ रिग्रेशन इज टू मेक इट make the model scientific, make your data into something like a model which we can use to predict future values, right? तो यही होता है. अभी यहाँ है शेयर मार्केट में तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा होता है कि विद रिस्पेक्ट टू मैनी अदर फैक्टर्स शेयर्स कैसे चेंज हो रहे हैं. लोग लगाते बोली अपनी उसी पे ही हैं कि यू यूज दिस शेयर बिकॉज इट हैज़ बीन चेंजिंग फ्रॉम ड्यू टू दिस फैक्टर्स. रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस उसमें इतनी लगती है. न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स अब आजकल आने लगे हैं. There are so many other areas where we use these statistical analysis. Statistics for scientific work is just a niche part, बहुत छोटा part है. और सबके लिए statistics basically इजाद तो वहाँ से ही हुए थे ना कि stocks, shares and all. तो और applications बहुत हैं. The best fit point of getting the regression model is to know how our material behaves or how our physical phenomena is happening. ठीक है. एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस? आई होप इसमें कुछ इतना समझ में आया होगा कि बेसिक टाइप ऑफ ये जो हम लोग एक्सेल में ट्रेंड लाइन बना देते हैं और ये सब करते हैं, इसका फंडामेंटल क्या है, रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस होती क्या है. और इतना हो सकता है कि इन फ्यूचर इफ़ यू हैव सर्टेन डेटा एंड इफ़ यू वांट कि मेरे को इसका एक प्रिडिक्शन करना है कि आगे क्या होगा, यू कैन एक्चुअली थिंक अबाउट modeling your data to find some equations which can represent the whole data set, right? इतना I think इस लेवल पे इसको समझने के बाद आ जाएगा कि how we do that, how we understand this, what is curve fitting and what is regression part. ठीक है. तो बेसिक्स ये थे. थोड़ा सा अब हाई पे जाएंगे. we will go for neural networks next time. देखते हैं कितना कर सकते हैं हम लोग. लिमिटेड 2 वीक्स ही हैं हमारे पास, तो 1 वीक तो न्यूरल नेटवर्क जाएगा. ओके ठीक. If no questions now, we will close for today. Rock slope के लिए तो मिल रहे हैं 3 बजे. For now we'll close. If any questions are there now or later also we can discuss. That's okay. ठीक है, क्लोज करें. चलो, थैंक यू एवरीवन, टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ. मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में इन रॉक स्लोप टेक्नोलॉजी. ओके, थैंक यू.